This is my proposal of using existing Whodunnit TV with XR headsets and utilising it in the Metaverse.
Well, a continuation of the genre of Whodunnit TV detectives, bringing it into the 21st century. I'm going to try and show you a means for using all the old films and TV series like Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie stuff, right up to the Swedish efforts that are some of them are quite good for the detective genre in Sweden, and some of the modern stuff as well. Basically, what it is, it's a VR space. You put your headset on and you meet in a lobby after getting an invite from a company or a friend or somebody like that. And there's a host. It could be a company who hosts it, or it could be just a group of friends with somebody who's decided to get everybody together for a bit of fun. Basically, you watch a particular film. In this case, it's the ABC Murders, but it could be anything. It could be Columbo. It could be any kind of detective series you can imagine that has a whodunit aspect to it. It's mainly for people that want to watch that kind of show with people who are interested in it, because a lot of people watch things at home or on the train or wherever, and they're on their own. And quite often, some of the, especially Sherlock Holmes, some of them are really quite hard to follow and decipher and figure out who done it. And if you've got friends around you who can talk to and analyse the first half of the show or the first bit of the series or whatever it is, you can have a chat and discuss what's going on. Anyway, back to my concept. Basically, you've got 6 people who arrive through the door here into the lobby, and you're into the lobby, and you can see, here we are, you're in a space ready to watch, in this case the ABC Murders. But the 6 of you, it could be 10, it could be 8, I would say at least 4 people, but no more than 12. And then you've got plenty of wall space to put various avatars of yourself, because you've got 6 characters in this case, 6 characters that are going to actually play and watch the program at the same time. We've got a main hunches and theories board where you can write stuff on it when you've figured out what's going on. Basically, you all assemble, you all introduce yourself. The guy with the pink diamond over his head is the host. He has some experience of this genre and the XR experience in general. He's done it before, or he's a company employee, or he's an actor who's been hired to give you this TV adventure, because that's what it is. It's a TV detective whodunit, and you're going to do it with your friends. So I've put a few cues in here. This is more of the lobby area. This is where people arrive, and you discuss with them. Hi, I'm Big Dave. Blah blah blah. You introduce yourselves. Your avatars appear on the wall and a little brief description of who you are. This room is where props and scene assistance things appear later on. Okay, so that is the first element of this proposal. Everybody arrives, they introduce themselves, their avatars are on the board. These are actually your theories board, and you can write your ideas and you can take snaps during the show.
So, you're sat with your headset on, and now it's the recognisable and traditional sit and view part. The show is about to start, everyone takes a seat, but some commenting is allowed during the screening, and the host can mute you if you overdo this, so please don't overstep the mark.
Sits down, as I say, 6 to 12 people is probably the best. And then the TV starts, and as I say, you can take a snap at any point, which will freeze frame the picture that's on the screen at the time. So obviously, if you're seeing a close-up of the murder weapon, or you're seeing a close-up of the scene where the murder happened, or even their evidence board in the police station or something like that, you can click the picture to take a shot of it, and then you can analyse it after the first half's finished. So everybody's ready, assembles, and then you move on to the end of the first part of the series, or the film. So if it's a film, it could be in 4 parts. If it's a series, it might be in 6 parts. And you could watch this over a day, over a weekend, or over a week, depending on how big the production is. So I'm envisaging 3 to 6 parts generally. So the first part's over, and what's great about this proposal is you've got time, you've got 10 minutes, you've got 10 minutes of adverts on the screen. During those 10 minutes of adverts, they can run trailers for other shows, trailers for merchandise, for Poirot, whatever, all sorts of things. So you've got your revenue stream for your advertising. You could also put clues in later on in some of the adverts for the actual show that you're watching. Right, so they've all seen 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes of the show, and they're on to the first break. So we're into our first break, and everybody is assembling and figuring out what's going on. So they've seen a few people being murdered, etc. Some people have taken pictures of the board, of the TV, and put it on their board. Zula's thinks that this woman's done it. That's the scene of the murder. This guy's a candidate for the killer so far. That's one of the areas where they think it could have taken place, perhaps. So you've got these 6 people who now in these 10 minutes figure out what's going on. And they can have a discussion amongst themselves this is in XR space. So you could be on the train, she could be at home. They can move around using their joysticks or their phones or whatever they've got on them wherever they are to actually get from one room to another. And they can write on the board what they think has happened, who's done it, their hunches, and they can actually go into the lobby area. This is the area where they can discuss in further detail what they've just seen and act out some of the scenes and discuss them. So various props from the show that this might have fingerprints on this globe. There might be lipstick, or there might be fingerprints on frames or mugs or whatever, or the weapon. They can figure out if maybe the maid was too short to reach up high enough to smack somebody on the head. That kind of thing they can act out and talk amongst themselves. And then obviously they've got 10 minutes to discuss who they think did it, what's going on, and their original hunches and possible ideas about what's going to happen. We get a flashing light when we've got a minute to get back, sit down to watch the next bit of the show. So everybody gets ready to watch the next bit of the show. And then the host perhaps signals to everybody to come in. He says, right, everybody, get back in and come and watch the show. And they start watching it. And the next part, everybody's having a look and see what's going on. During that last interval, people put more pictures on the boards of who they think did it. There's more discussion. But generally, while the show's taking place, mics will be muted, and you might be able to do 1 or 2 comments about what's going on, but generally keeping it to a minimum as the show starts. The host has the possibility of muting people as well, You can take photos, as I said, screenshots of whatever's going on at the time. So she's clicked to take a screenshot of him, for instance. That's Poirot in this case. And as I say, the lobby area will fill up with props during the show. So things that feature in the TV show will feature in the prop room for discussion in the next interval as well. So, as I said, before the show starts, they can have a little bit of banter, but once the show starts, it's pretty much muted, and they can have other comments that are trivial as well while the show's going on, and you can generally bond and make new friends. So we're into the next part of the show. Right. Now the TV adverts come on again for another 10 minutes. So we've seen 2 parts. We've got more information on the boards about what's happening, who's doing what, who's got theories about whatever. We've got more murder weapons. We have more fingerprints or explosives on showing where the safe was blown up or whatever. You can actually pick up one of these weapons and wander around and talk to people about how possibly they could have been killed. Like, there's no way the cook did it. She was too tall, or she was left-handed and she should have been right-handed, and all the rest of it. You can have a really good chat about who did what. In this case, there's some lipstick on the pillow, so they knew that somebody had company that evening. So there's all sorts of cross-pollination of people's opinions. So if you're sat on your sofa on your own, you can have a really good, informative time of watching the show, in this case the ABC Murders, with lots of other people. And you can make friends and have a really good analysis of the show, especially, which is quite handy, especially if some of these shows are pretty difficult to to figure out. And you can, as I say, you can talk about which theories you think warrant some attention, and you can get everything figured out about how you think the show's going and who the murder suspect is. And then you've got, as I say, you've had another 10 minutes, the red light flashes. Before as the adverts are continuing, before the next part starts, which could be the 3rd part or the 4th part, a later part of the show, we've got a special appearance. And in this case, the special appearance is by Poirot. We actually get an AI version of Poirot. It could be volumetrically created, and he appears stood in the lobby area, and people can come in and ask him questions. And in this case, to avoid a bun fight, we get the host to ask the questions, and everybody can figure out what they're going to ask, and then they ask Poirot the questions to give him some clues about who did it and what the solution is. So you've got various people, and this guy could be completely AI, it could be an avatar completely AI, or it could be a volumetric version of the actual actor who stars in it, which could be filmed after the event, and with some clues. Depending on if it is the actor or what AI you're using, you could make it harder or easier. If he's live, for instance, if he thinks you lot know who it is, he might lead you off the scent just to make it more interesting. So that's one of the breaks. Another break is another thing appears in the lobby, and that's a scene of crime. In this case, it's a 360 scene of crime. So we've got the murder scene of one of the murders, and we can actually delve right into it in a 360. For instance, this could be like a thicket, and there could be like an indentation on the ground where somebody died and laid there for a while, and there could be blood splattered around the trees, and you could see footprints and all sorts, and you'd actually analyse the 360 area of where the murder took place, and it might help you figure things out. And they could also be like genuine clues, like there could be like this bicycle could be circle saying, you know, this is major clue. The guy who did it came on his bike, for instance. So that's another feature that could be as a clue in the lobby area. Anyway, when we've seen nearly all of the show, it's time to figure out who did it. You have to consult your own evidence boards, consult the main evidence board that you've been discussing with everybody else, and everybody writes down on their board who they think did it. Like Evil Sarah, the butler, he's trying to figure out who it is. He's going with Howard Smith, who is the owner of the mansion. Mr. Smith again, they're still deciding. And then you've got the last part of the show. Hurry up, guys, it's starting again. Let's see what happened and who did it. Put your suspects on the boards first if you can. So that's what everybody does. And then the show finishes. The show's completely finished. Everybody's figured out if their answers are right. The host makes the decision of who won it, because somebody said it was John Smith or Howard Smith early on, and whoever guessed it early on with some credible evidence on their board and reasoning for it, they win the actual game show as it is in this case, and figure out who it is before anyone else. And some of the others might say, right, I'm going to go through this, that it was impossible, that the maid couldn't have done it, or whatever, he couldn't have done it with a hammer, blah, blah, blah. The actual objects that were featured in the lobby that you could do the role play with, role playing the murders and figuring out left-handed, right-handed, and all the rest of it, you can keep them as NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and you can take them away at the end. So you could have the hammer from the ABC murders, for instance, or whatever it is, and you've also got a chance at the end as well to go through all the different people there, making friends. You might not have made any friends. You might have got friendly with a few people. In which case, you can opt in with you can click on whoever you like the idea of making friends with. And if you click on those on your interface, whatever it is, on your headset, on your phone or whatever, on your tethered phone, whatever it is, you can click on that, and then you can get a later, just purely for you, social media contact board will appear on the board in question, and you click on, yeah, Big Dave's asked you if you want to be part of his social media circle, and you just click on what it is, LinkedIn or whatever, Facebook, and you can be connected, and then you can play your next invitation. So the social media invitation is only seen by that player, so nobody feels like they've been left out or anything. And this, obviously, if you've not connected with anybody, you will get nothing at this stage, and you just walk off and disappear, and you can just head out with your NFT memory of the show. And obviously, if you enjoyed it, you can tell the host, and you can get an invite next time. Basically, everybody leaves until they get an invite next time. In this case, 2:30 next Saturday. I'll see you two right here for the next show. That is my concept in a nutshell. As I say, you've got a revenue stream from the advertising. You've got similar kind of advertising you've got now. You can use all the old shows that are, the Agatha Christie shows, some of them Peter Ustinov, really big characters. A lot of the younger audience have not seen any of these shows because they're a little bit 2 hours with your mum and dad or your granddad. Is going to be that exciting watching that? It might well be if you don't know what's going to happen, and maybe granddad does, and he can actually steer the conversation and have more fun with you because he's seen it before and he knows what's going to happen and you don't. But I think this is a brilliant thing because it utilises old TV detective shows and movies that are really good productions. You can add stuff to it. You can recreate murder scenes and some of the actual offices and rooms that some of the action took place in. You can recreate them and make 360 spheres as I did there before. You can recreate that. That could be a room interior from Sherlock Holmes or anything. In my solution for TV detective shows, Whodunnits, you've got continuity from the past to the present. So you're really bringing in TV detective shows into the 21st century, utilising a lot of XR ability in VR headsets or some of the new next generation Google glasses or whatever that you can use on a train. And you can, if it's a crowded train, you might not want to be too vocal, yes and no answers and things like that with some of the people you're discussing with. But if you're at home on your own, you can have a really good chat with people while you're watching the show and figure out who done it. And I think it's got a lot of potential because you get a revenue stream, you use old shows, and you bring it to a new audience. So that is my concept.